Well, it's been a while, but welcome back to another 5-pound dinner challenge, where we try to feed the whole family for just under 5 pounds. Today, we're making some braised chicken and green bean noodles. The whole thing cooks in 30 minutes, and it could easily feed 4 very hungry people. So, let's do it. First, we have the chicken. Today, we have chicken wings, just because pound for pound, they have the most collagen, which means the most gelatin, and that would help us thicken the whole thing, giving us a creamier texture. Once the pan is hot, high smoke point oil. In this case, vegetable oil goes in. Once the oil is shimmering, we add the chicken wings. Just like previously, we're gonna separate the drum from the wings, just for better even cooking and more browning. By the way, I'm only doing it like this because I'm too lazy to wash the chopping board. You definitely don't have to. Brilliant. Now, we season generously with salt, and we really start to build flavors by first rendering the fat under the skin of the chicken wings, then using that beautiful tasty fat to caramelize the skin, browning protein, fat, and high heat. We have the Maillard reaction. That's what's going to give the chicken the meaty flavors. And because we're going to braise them with the beans and later the noodles, we can really afford to cook the crap out of them to get the most flavor from the surface of the chicken wings. And through the braising process, the connective tissues will then soften. So even though we're cooking it at very high heat now, we'll have very tender chicken wings. Now, once the chicken wing has taken on some wonderful golden colors, we fish them out. Don't worry if they're sticking to the bottom. In terms of building flavors, it's actually exactly where we want them, because we'll eventually deglass the pan with water, and that would give us all the flavors that we need for the braising liquid. Now, to infuse with all these beautiful burn bits, we have our frozen green beans. Frozen beans, yes, they're cheaper, but more importantly, they're actually almost always sweeter because they get frozen right after being picked. The only drawback of frozen beans, they don't have the texture that you normally associate with fresh green beans. But the beauty is, because we're braising them, texture is actually not our consideration at all. And we're solving for sweetness and flavors. And this is perfect. The inspiration for this dish came after we cooked paella valenciana, after which I realized how much flavors green beans, well in that case flat green beans, could impart once you've given them a sufficiently long enough cooking time. So bring some heat back. Once again, we season with salt. This will also help the green beans release their moisture. Now, once the green beans have released some moisture, we start to scrape the bottom of the pan for the fond, for the flavors, for the burn bits. And this will also give the cooking liquid a wonderful golden color. Now, what seemed a minute ago like a sticky pan suddenly looks really clean. And that's exactly what we want to achieve. And we continue to move them to help them release the moisture, evaporate the water content, to concentrate their flavors, particularly their sweetness. And once most of the water content has evaporated, we'll start to caramelize them, to brown them a bit, to give them more flavors. Remember, beans are quite rich in protein, and protein and fat is what gives us the Maillard reaction we mentioned earlier. You see the steam coming out? That's the water content evaporating. And as the water evaporates, they shrink in size. So what looked like a ginormous bag of green beans suddenly doesn't look like it's too much. Now, to further build flavors, whenever you see the bottom start to have these burn bits, we just add a small drop of water and you scrape to mop up these flavors and prevent the bottom from burning, to give you more time to brown the green beans. Now, once you can see there's not much steam coming out, we add chicken wings back in, along with the resting liquid. And one optional step, you tilt the pan and you decide how much fat you want to skim off. Because remember, we're very generous with the vegetable oil in the beginning, solving for even cooking. Now, we add just enough water to cover everything. And we braise and reduce this at high heat for about 20 minutes. I'll see you then. All right. About 3 minutes left. This has been braising and reducing, giving us a wonderful consistency already. Now, we cook some noodles. You can use any noodle you like. If budget is not the main concern, I would use bean vermicelli because they absorb flavor probably better than anyone else. Today we have some egg noodles, so we'll simply cook them briefly in boiling water, rinse it to get rid of the alkaline taste, and we'll braise it with the beautiful cooking liquid, and we can plate. Noodles in. The moment the noodles start to fall apart, stove off, and we rinse it under cold running water. This will also help them firm up a bit, giving you a bit more of a bite. Noodles in. And you want the noodles to have contact with the braising liquid. We simply cook them until they've softened and absorbed this wonderful liquid. Of course, the recipe is just a guidance. If you're not constrained by the actual 5-pound challenge, you can easily add some hot sauce, some soy sauce, whatever seasoning you like during the braising process, and that would really elevate the dish to the next level. Now, once you have the desired texture, we can plate. Stove off. First take some noodles, go to the bottom. There's a lot of noodles. Beautiful shoe. And that's it. Tender chicken, flavoursome beans, and noodles that have mopped up all the tasty goodness from our ingredients. This is braised chicken and green bean noodles. I really, really hope you enjoy. Ta-da!